Here we go. 2 weeks left. We have 4 straight days of football starting Friday or Christmas Day. We have Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and then Buffalo, New England is Monday. This is the last Monday night football game of the year. Next week it all ends on Sunday night, and by then we will know who is in the playoffs and who is out. So, starting with Friday's game, because there is no Thursday game, sucks. I wish we had a Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday game. That would be cool. But starting with Friday, Minnesota heads to New Orleans. This is Minnesota's last shot to stay in the playoff race. If they lose to New Orleans, they're out. They're done. Season is over after Week 17, obviously. They're done after the regular season. New Orleans still has a lot to play for. They can still get that number 1 seed. And it's going to be even a better chance because the Packers play Tennessee. And I have talked about this all week. In the AFC video I put up, NFC video I put up, I might have even talked about it on Monday, and I don't remember what video I put up on Monday. I think it was probably about the Rams. Probably about the Rams and the Jets. But Packers, I have a chance to lose against Tennessee this weekend, and that would means we are tied. And if the Packers lose on Week 17 and Saints win, Saints can get the number 1 seed. We play the Bears next weekend. Saints play Falcons. I think it's the Falcons next weekend is who they play. So Saints have a lot to fight for. Minnesota is fighting to stay alive. So I am going with New Orleans. I think they are going to keep pace with the Packers, and I think it's going to come down to either that 4:25 game against Tennessee and basically wrapping up that number 1 seed. Because if we win against Tennessee, then we basically have the number 1 seed on lockdown. But it's still good to win against the Bears the following week. But New Orleans should keep pace with the Packers, and it's going to be a dogfight for that number 1 seed. I can really see it. Then, moving on to Saturday's game. We have 2 Saturday. Is it 3? It might be 3. I don't remember what Miami and the Raiders game is. If that's Saturday night, let me look that up here. I'm going to look it up while we're talking here. So, first game, Tampa Bay heads to Detroit. Tampa Bay got blown out by Tennessee last weekend. Tennessee put up 40-some points last weekend on them. So I don't think Detroit has a chance to really win against. I gotta go Week 17 or 16. Excuse me. Against Tampa Bay, I don't. So right there, we'll go schedule there. So I'm picking Tampa Bay to win. Next game, San Francisco heads to Arizona. Now, this game is going to be really interesting, too. Oh, it is. Okay, it is 3 Saturday games. Okay, so Miami and Raiders is a Saturday night game at 7:15 Eastern. So, I'm sorry, 7:15 Central. This is, it actually autoed to my time. Perfect. So, it's 7:15 Central, so 8:15 Eastern is Miami and the Raiders. Anyway, back to San Francisco and Atlanta. Arizona, excuse me. I got Atlanta on the brain now. Kyler Murray had a really good game against the win over the Eagles last week. Jalen Hurts had a really good game too. I think this is where Arizona steps it up, keeps being a game ahead of the Bears because the Bears have an easy game. They have Jacksonville this weekend. So I think this is where they win out, beat San Francisco, sweep San Francisco, and they keep that game lead on Chicago. Because if Chicago can tie them, I think Chicago is a tiebreaker on them. So that would mean push Arizona outside of the playoffs. They're looking in. So I think this is where Arizona beats San Francisco, sweeps them, and they stay in that 7th seed. I think if they beat San Francisco this weekend, I think they're going to basically lock it up. Because, again, you're a game ahead of Chicago. So that's what I'm going with. Next, again, like I just said before, my late game on Saturday, Miami heads to the Raiders. The Raiders are, they've fallen off. They're still technically in the playoff hunt, I believe. They have like a 1% chance to actually making it in. And Miami holds that number 7 seed too. So again, both Saturday games, afternoon and night games, for Saturday are going to hold who can get into that 7th seed. Because if Miami loses, then Baltimore can sneak into the playoffs too. So it's gonna be a really interesting to see what happens for this Saturday games for these 7 seeds too. I didn't talk too much about it in my playoff predictions or playoff picture heading into this week. I didn't touch on the 7th seeds for both really that much. I talked a little bit about Miami, but I think they should stay in 7th seed. I think they should win this game. Raiders are just, I don't know what to think of them. They look good, and then they're falling off really bad now. So then we move on to Sunday games. So game 3 in a row. Sunday, Indy heads to Pittsburgh. This is going to be a game Browns fans are going to watch. If Pittsburgh loses and the Browns beat the Jets, again, we're going to talk about that later. But if Pittsburgh loses here, Browns beat the Jets. Week 17, it's Pittsburgh Browns for the AFC North. That means someone gets in the top 4, has a home playoff game. The loser is probably knocked down to 6th. I believe that's where the Browns are right now, is 6th. So you go from a playoff home game to nothing to going on the road, and you have to win on the road. So I am picking Indy. Indy looks just to be the better team overall, and Pittsburgh just lost to the Bengals. They look like they don't care. They look like they're not good anymore, and they just have fallen off a cliff badly. I think Pittsburgh has the potential of going 0-5 since starting 11-0. I can see it happening. Again, we're going to talk more about Browns and Pittsburgh next week if Indy wins and the Jets lose. So, but Indy is my pick for this week. Then Atlanta heads to Kansas City. I'm going to kind of brush over this one. I'm going to put this into the universe. Ready? Atlanta's going to beat Kansas City. No, no, but seriously, Kansas City, it should be, just a nice stroll for them. But if they lose, I put it out in the universe. So Kansas City is my pick, but again, I put that out in the universe, so if Kansas City loses, there you go. Then Chicago heads to Jacksonville, just like I was talking about before. They need this win to keep pace with Arizona, and they should get it. Again, Green Bay is going to be a really hard game for them, especially if Green Bay does not bench the starters, which would probably mean we probably lost to Tennessee. So it's going to be, Bears are hoping Packers win. Arizona loses, and Bears are hoping to play the Packers backups next week to be able to sneak into that 7th seed. Then we move on to Cincinnati and Houston. I don't know why, but I can see Cincinnati winning. I don't know why. I can see them somehow pulling off a dub here and beating Houston in their own home. I can see it. Obviously, I'm going with Houston. Houston's obviously the better team on paper. But I can see it. After they beat Pittsburgh, I can see them beating Houston too. I mean, Houston's not as good as Pittsburgh, really. But Houston did play down, or Pittsburgh did play down. It's a rivalry game, so we'll see what happens. Then Giants head to Baltimore. Giants are trying to keep pace with the Washington football team. I don't think I think this is almost going to end their playoff hopes right here. I really do. I think that a loss here to Baltimore, which I am picking Baltimore, as you can see, I think it's going to be, just derail them. They're probably going to fall in the 3rd because, again, if Philadelphia, that Philadelphia-Dallas game, again, if Dallas wins, Dallas is going to move into 2nd, right behind the Washington football team. And that would still mean the Washington football team has to win out. So I don't think Giants have a chance. I think basically they're going to be eliminated, even though they might not be eliminated until next week. I think a loss to the Ravens is really going to hurt them in this playoff push, and I think Washington football team is almost going to wrap this division up. I think they are the clear winners here. It looks like it, unless Dallas somehow ties their record. Dallas gets a win next week. Washington football team loses, and 5th seed has to go play in Dallas. I mean, you're probably going to be happy then because Dallas is probably the weakest of the four teams in Philly, in the East. But we'll see what happens. So I'm Baltimore. Now, as I touched on before, Cleveland heads to the Jets. Jets are not someone you put off. I think last week against the Rams proved that. I think against the against the Raiders, I think that proved that too. That they only lost because Greg Williams decided to blitz instead of doing prevent defense. So Jets could easily have 2 wins this season. They have the longest streak of opening drive touchdowns at 8 in a row, which is so weird. But I think Cleveland should be enough to beat the Jets, and hopefully hopefully they get ready and play for the North. But you can't overlook the Jets. After beating the Rams, you can't overlook this team. If you're week 16, or whoever is in week 17 too, playing the Jets, do not overlook them. Don't. I think the Rams did, and they fell short. So my pick is Cleveland. Then Carolina heads to Washington football team. Carolina played pretty good against the Packers last week. Washington football team almost had a comeback, but came up short against Seattle. But I think they should. Again, they didn't have Alex Smith. It was Dwayne Haskins who started out terrible and then kind of picked it up towards the end of the game and kind of got hot at the right moment, but it wasn't enough to bring them back. So I think Washington football team should get the win. I did hear that Alex Smith was practicing today, the day I'm recording this, which is Wednesday. So he might be started again next week against Carolina. We will see. But I think he brings a dynamic that helps the team overall. And that defense is still scary. That front four. Some people are even saying that front 7 up there are pretty scary. I can see it. I think Chase Young brings a whole new dynamic and really helps cement them as a contender for the playoffs. I don't think they're going to make it to the Super Bowl, but I can see them getting past the wild card depending on their matchup. I can see it. So we'll see what happens. But I think they're going to win against Carolina this week. Then I'm going to brush on this one. This one's hard to pick. Well, the next 2 are really hard to pick. Denver heads to LA Chargers. Chargers getting hot right now. Denver, looking okay. I think, didn't they just win last week? Or did they lose last week? I don't remember. I don't even remember who they played last week. But I think the Chargers, are good enough to get a win here. So, then Philly heads to Dallas. Now, technically, I guess this is an upset because I am picking Dallas, but I just feel like Dallas has more to play for right now than the Eagles do. Eagles are a game behind Dallas, and they're 2 games behind Washington football team, who has the lead right now. Now, technically, they are knocked out. If they lose to Dallas this weekend, I believe they are. So I'm picking Dallas, but I don't know who to pick here. I don't know who's going to show up, who's not. Obviously, Jalen Hurts is really good. But, that Cowboys team just came off and beat the Niners. And I believe the Niners beat the Eagles earlier this year. It was probably against Carson Wentz. But, I think, Dallas has a chance to keep pace. And I think they're not going to get eliminated from the playoff picture until next week. So I'm going Dallas. But, again, I can see Philly winning this too. So we'll see what happens. Then the Rams head to Seattle. Now, these actually next 2 games I have pointed out are going to be really important for the Rams, Seattle, and then obviously the next game, Tennessee and Green Bay, is important for like 4 teams. Probably maybe 5, 6 teams in the playoff picture right now. So starting with the Rams and Seattle, this is going to be a game. Winner gets the division. Loser is 5th. No, loser will be 6th seed because Tampa should beat Detroit. So loser is going to fall to the 6th seed. I am picking the Rams to bounce back. I just think they'll play like they did last time against Seattle. I think Russell Wilson was sacked like 6 times or something like that, 5 or 6 times. So I think this. Rams defense is gonna mess around with him. I think last week again against the Jets, I don't know what to make of it, but if the Rams show up like they did against the Jets last week, Seattle's going to win this. But I think Rams are going to have enough heart to play their division and win their division, and they're going to come back strong against Seattle. So, and then again, another really big playoff impact game is Tennessee and Green Bay. Now, these past 3 days, I've been thinking about this for 3 days straight, going back between picking Tennessee and Green Bay. The more I look into it, both defenses aren't that good. Our running defense suck. Their passing defense suck. So this could be a high-scoring game, I should say. It's not going to be. It could be a high-scoring game, or this could be a run game versus Aaron Rodgers passing it. So we'll see what happens. I am going with Green Bay. This is my game. Oh, wait, crap. Game of the week is supposed to be green. Oh, no. I was making this too fast and didn't pay attention. So this is not an upset. It's supposed to be game of the week. I can't believe I messed that up. But I am picking Green Bay to win in a close game. Probably 27-24. Green Bay will win this. Again, whoever wins this is going to affect a lot of teams. Then I'm just going to kind of brush past this quickly. Buffalo versus New York. New England. Excuse me. I don't know why. I'm thinking about the Jets too much after that win. Buffalo should just, cream pie New England. New England's already eliminated from the playoffs, and I think this is, they're gonna just try to get a better draft pick. So I think Buffalo's gonna win this easily. So, but that is it for now. I'm gonna go ahead and get out of here. Like the video, share the video around, subscribe, and we are out of here. Peace.